Hey there, abiding fam, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey Lee, and here on my channel, I'm all about helping you to document a life full of abiding joy, faith, and love. And if there is one way that I most enjoy documenting my life, it is through creative journaling. And if you've been with me for a while, and in just looking at this title, you will realize that this is the 8th installment of my creative journal flip-throughs, because in 2018 I decided to journal every single day of the year so that I would have 365 days totally covered in my journal. Some of those days have one-line sentence for the journaling. Some of them are 2-page spreads, depending on how much went on in that day. But regardless, every single day of that year is covered here in my journal, and I have been slowly sharing all of those different months with you. So in this video, I'm going to be walking through August with you all, which is in volume 3 of my inserts here. And if you're interested in the previous ones, if you haven't seen them yet, I have a whole playlist that walks through all of my previous months. So there are 7 that you can watch before this one that are chatty. And then I also have a series of videos that are flip-throughs of each volume that are just quick flip-throughs without me blabbering on, if that's something that you enjoy more. But I personally like hearing the stories behind an entry, because that, after all, is the point of us recording our memories, is telling our story. That's why we record our abiding memories. That's why we create journal entries and add in photos and stickers, because we want them to tell a story. Okay fam, so here we are at the beginning of August, which actually starts right here. You can see I wrote Hello August here to kind of show that division. These pages I actually did in a journal with me on my Patreon. So if you join my Patreon, which is going to be relaunching September 1st, very, very excited for that. You can watch all of the exclusive videos over there on the $6 tier. And so far, I have more than 20 exclusive videos over there, many of them which are journal with me, like this one. So I'll talk more about Patreon a little bit later on, because I have some fun updates related to that, but I want to show you a few more spreads before I get into that information. So this was a fun weekend because it was my good friend's Bachelorette weekend, and I was in her wedding, and I used this great journaling card, No Road is Too Long with Good Company, which was absolutely perfect for this day, because my best friend, who was actually the maid of honor in my wedding, and I drove together to the Finger Lakes to meet everybody, and we just had the best car ride, and we were talking and just enjoying ourselves, listening to good music. So it was a super fun time. And then for these days, I did the 3rd and the 4th in both of these spreads together and kind of talked about them as a whole, rather than parsing out the weekend into its individual days, because the whole weekend was really kind of one, because it was the Bachelorette weekend. So that's something you can do too in your journaling. Sometimes it makes more sense to combine days. A lot of times when it's a weekend or a vacation, something like that, you can combine a few days into one larger spread and do your journaling about the whole weekend rather than individual days. So that's what I did here. I took this from a little pamphlet that was available, and then I circled with my white gel pen the event for this winery that we went to, which was this garlic festival. It was amazing. I have a slight obsession with garlic. I put garlic in everything, and so a garlic festival was right up my alley, and it was great because we just stumbled upon this, and it just so happened to be that weekend, so it was a nice little find. And then I just put this photo over the others because I wanted to use this photo. And then this is really cool. I did my journaling on a piece of vellum, and then did this fun accent with the wine cup there, and I did that using different foils. So I used a glue pen to do this more opalescent foil that I used also in my entries for my proposal, and then filled the glass, I'm doing quote hands, with the gold foil. So that was for this page, and then I just did my journaling over top of it, and then obviously you can see the photos underneath it, and then if you lift this up, you can see all of the photos, which we just had a great time. And really the photos speak for themselves about reminding me about this weekend, but then I have a little bit of journaling just to explain some of the details that maybe aren't evident in these photos. And then of course I had to do hand lettering of wine not, because we were after all in the best place for visiting wineries. The Finger Lakes is well known for that. So that was a really fun weekend. This is a great example of doing quick entries. A lot of times I'll do this kind of format, which kind of has a bullet journal style of journaling. When I'm in a work week that maybe doesn't have too much exciting things going on, I'll just do, maybe a picture or two. Like this day, I can tell just by looking at this photo. This was a day where I was working on my save the dates for my wedding, which, by the way, the image that I drew out for my save the dates is actually a printable over on my Patreon. So you can get that over there. And then here I obviously was putting together these save the dates. Here I was talking to somebody on the phone, so I used this great ring sticker. So I have little indications of what happened on each of these days, and then just really brief journaling, and used the washi to do the headers. And this whole spread I actually created as a journal with me, I believe, over on Patreon. So this is one example of the type of spreads that I've done over there. There are so many though, beyond just that. This one again, I also did on Patreon. This was Crab Fest 2018, which is super fun, and actually is coming up this year. It's coming up next weekend, so that's really fun. It's cool to look back at what I did last August while it's currently August as I'm filming this. That's really cool. So it's been a year since all of this happened, which is crazy. Time moves so fast, and your journal will definitely be a reminder of how quickly time moves, but how awesome to have all of these memories recorded. It just is such a blessing. I love flipping through my journal, and I love sharing it with all of you. So yeah, here is Crab Fest, and like I said, I did this whole entry over on Patreon, and I'll take this moment really quickly to mention about Patreon that I am relaunching in September. So September 1st, I am relaunching Patreon, which means starting September 1st, I'm going to start doing all of my tiers again, where I'm going to be producing new content. So one extra video per month if that interests you. If you want a bonus video, you also get free printables every month. Mini printables are available on the $2 tier, and I will talk about this more in a future video just about Patreon if you want to learn more. But you can learn a lot more by just visiting my Patreon, which I do have linked down below for you guys. But I want to say really quickly that if you join in the first week of September, I'm going to have some fun bonuses as part of my relaunch, including a printable that is going to be available to every patron regardless of their tier. That is going to be in addition to the other printables that are promised in the tiers. So everybody will get that bonus printable, and then I'm also going to be doing a bonus journal with me in September as well that everybody will have access to. So everybody will get an extra video, and everybody will get an extra printable, and everybody who becomes a patron in September is going to be entered to win Happy Mail in October when I relaunched my Happy Mail tier. So if you are a US resident, you are eligible for that. And if it interests you, awesome, check it out. It's a lot of fun over there, and I love producing that extra content, but it is just extra content, guys. It's if you feel like you've seen all my YouTube videos and just want more. If you want to see more of my journaling, especially my journaling process, I have a ton of journal with me's over there. And when you join, you get access to everything I've ever published on Patreon, which is more than 20 videos, more than 35, I think, printables, like tons of printables. So you get a lot of my art, you get exclusive photos, you get the bonus videos, you get a lot over there, and you can cancel at any time, but any amount of support you are willing to offer me, it's what makes it possible for me to do all of the work that I do here on YouTube and offer that to you for free here. So if you enjoy this kind of content and enjoy seeing it here on YouTube, then supporting me on Patreon is a really great way to help me keep doing that. It is the biggest blessing, and I appreciate every single one of my patrons, past and future, for however much they were able to pledge and for however long. I am so grateful for all of it. So with that said, if you want the extra journal with me's like this one, and there's a lot actually in this one that I did. This one I did over on Patreon. This one I think I did on Patreon. This one I definitely did on Patreon. So there's a lot of journal entries that if you want to see in depth, you can get them over there. And of course, guys, there's also a ton, 20 plus journal with me's here on YouTube at the moment as well, and I have a ton filmed that I need to edit as well. So there's a lot more of that content where that comes from. So don't feel like the only way to see journal with me's is to join Patreon. There's a lot here, and there's going to be new ones coming out here as well. So like I said, just bonus content if you're interested. So this one here is a fun page because this was the day that I found my wedding dress, which was the most beautiful dress in the world. And I only got to wear it for one day because that's the way weddings work. It's so sad. But the dress that I got was from Casablanca Bridal. So if you're interested in, if you're getting married and are looking for a good brand, I definitely highly recommend this one. I loved my dress, and I love having these little photos of me finding it. And then this was a really fun technique that I did, in which I did that same opal foil for the yes, and then it says, "She said yes to the dress." So of course you had to say that because of the TV show, good old TLC. And then here is a fun little element where I stapled the tag on to the page, and then it kind of like pulls down. I don't know, it's just fun the way that it operates here. So you can flip that up and then read my journaling beneath. Okay, here, these are some of my favorite spreads, and they're very simple, but I love the yellows. I just love the colors used. I love the mix of fonts. I just really like the way that these ones turned out. So here again is an example of doing the smaller journaling. So this is Monday through Friday, actually, at the bottom here. So that's basically a whole work week here. And I have 6 a.m. Writers Club because at the time I was getting up early and going to a cafe with my good friend, and we were writing together. And I need to start that routine again, but my friend is no longer in the same location as me, so it makes it difficult to be inspired to do that on your own, but I really should start that again. And then over here, this was a wonderful, wonderful Saturday where Ben and I went for a nice run at Wildwood Park, so I have the sneakers here and then just did lettering. And then we went to Broad Street Market, which is this awesome indoor farmers market that we love to go to, and there's a ton of great stands. There's produce and stuff, but this one is mostly places to eat. So we got some food there and got this really great homemade ice cream from this place called Urban Churn. And I loved using the washi strips here, just the different ones. This is one of my favorite washi's that I use when doing anything related to a farmer's market. It is just perfect for those types of spreads. And so this is a fun technique to just do a few little ribbons of washi and do your journaling around it. And as simple as that, guys, that is a really fun, easy page. And then down here, I just put one of my printables actually from Patreon. So that is an example of a printable that you can get when you join Patreon. And this comes on a whole sheet of a ton of printables related to different themes. So that's cool. This is a really fun page when we went to Gettysburg. So we checked out the battlefields, and it was actually a really rainy, super dismal day to be checking out the battlefields, but we had a really good time nonetheless. And this map I got from their gift store for the purpose of using in my journal. So I thought that was really fun that you can then read about the Battle of Gettysburg. Here so I didn't have to journal all about it. I could just paste this in here, and then it has the maps of the battlefields in this really cool antique-y paper. And then if you flip it up, here is my journaling about the day and what we all experienced. And then I just pasted a few photos that we didn't fit over in this collage. So actually a very simple page, but it makes it look more involved because of this map feature. Here again, super quick spread. This one I did a fun technique with gelatos and a stencil in the background, doing different colors and using a baby wipe to put those colors down. So if you look closely, you can see the patterns that resulted from doing that in the different colors. So that was a fun little thing to do. And then I just did blocks that I did each of my entries in. I didn't have any photos related to these entries. I just wrote about what I did and kept it very simple. So definitely does not have to be super involved every time. And this kind of page is something you could easily prep ahead of time. Create a background, make little boxes for your days of the week, and then just fill it in during the week. And that way it isn't such a production. This was a really fun Sunday in which we celebrated Ben's birthday, which was going to be later in the week. His is on the 29th of August, but this was a Sunday, so we celebrated then, and I planned out a whole day of his favorites. So we went to this cafe that he really loves for breakfast, and I actually had two of our good friends meet us there as a surprise, and it was hilarious because we walked up to the restaurant and he looks over and sees our one friend, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here too. What a weird coincidence." And these friends don't even live very close by us, so there's no way that he would just be there by coincidence. But it took Ben a good 10 minutes to catch on that this was prearranged and that they were there to eat with us, because he actually invited them while we were there. He was like, "Oh, you guys should totally eat with us." And they're kind of like, "Yeah, that's why we're here." We're here to eat with you. So that was just really funny. But yeah, then we went on a really nice hike at one of his favorite spots. And for dinner, I made green curry, which is his favorite. And I also made a cheesecake, which is also his favorite. So it was just a fun day, and it was a nice little way to celebrate him and everything he means to me by giving him some of his favorite things that day. And then here, guys, are all of the final spreads for August. So Monday the 27th through Friday the 31st, actually Saturday the 1st of September, but we'll talk about that one next time. These days I did in the same layout in which I wanted to do journaling, like I said, just really basic little journaling for each day, and also to have a little doodle that would represent each day. So it was really fun just drawing these little doodles. It's not very often that I just sit down and doodle in this way, so I really enjoyed that process. And I did throw in a few photos related to the new puppy at the time that my parents got, and now he's celebrating 1 year with them at the end of this month. And then over here, Ben and I played tennis, so I have a little photo of him all ready to play tennis. It's very hard to see because it's a very dark photo. And then I just did the doodle of the tennis. So this was then his birthday on the 29th, so I did the little birthday cupcake with the candle. Obviously went to Starbucks that day, and then on this day we had sushi at Oka. So this is a really fun, easy format that really anybody can do. All you need is a strip of washi, or you can just do it on the page and then do a doodle to represent something from that day. And I love doing this kind of thing with the photos or a doodle or a sticker or something of that sort, because you may have noticed that as I walked you through all of these entries, other than this page, I would have to read about each day to know what happened. But on most days, I know exactly what happened because my mind is triggered just by a sticker or a doodle or a hand-lettered piece like Broad Street Market, and then I'm like, oh, right, we went to the market that day. So all of those other memories come back when you just have something like that to trigger your memory. So those are all of my spreads for August, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this flip through and getting a peek into my journal for this month. Like I said, there are 7 other of these that have come before. So if you want to see January through July, you can check all of those out. And of course, there are going to be more flip throughs to come. And if you're seeing this later and are just checking out this video after the fact, then basically you can see every single spread that I created in a year here on my channel by watching all 12 of the flip throughs or checking out the individual flip throughs of each insert. So lots of ways to check out my journaling here on this channel, including the journal with me's if you want to get more of a sense of the process. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you have an absolutely fabulous day, and if you're interested in supporting me in other ways, you can check out my Patreon. I'll have it linked down below for you. Make sure that you join September 1st though, so that you don't get charged early on if you just want to join us when we officially relaunch in September. And besides that, guys, I just hope that you continue documenting your own life. Creative journaling is my favorite outlet for doing so, but there are tons of ways to document your life. All that matters is that you make those memories abiding in one way or another. So with that said, guys, go out there and document a life full of abiding joy, faith, and love.